everybody. I know this is super last minute coming on, so I'm not sure who's going to be able to join me today, if anybody, but I wanted to come on and do a live with you using, actually, it was the November Hero Arts Kit. It is, I really like it. I'm going to see if I can't make this so I can see y'all a little bit better if you have any comments, but I don't think it's going to let me. So I can't see my screen per se. So if you comment and I don't say anything, I apologize. All right, so I'm going to just predominantly use the dies in this set. And if you haven't seen the Hero Arts November kit, it has these images on it. Mine are all on stamp blocks right now. And basically, it's a beautiful Christmas home for the holidays type theme. I really, really like it. And so this is the images. Most of these came with die cuts as well, coordinating die cuts, which makes it super convenient. The one that did not have a coordinating die was this one. So this little guy didn't have one, and there's no coordinating die for the rug, but that's okay. Then the die cuts that it came with, in addition to the coordinating ones with this stamp, are these. I'm not going to pull them all out, but there are 3 additional ones in here. There's this one right here, which is like a front door, and it's more of an embossing type thing, but we're going to use it to paper piece. There's a topiary, which is this, and then there is a wreath, and then a couple little envelopes. So it's super fun. In addition to all of that, it came with rather large envelopes like this size. These are basically, you can take a piece of business, like letter size cardstock, 8.5 by 11, and fold it in half, and that is the perfect base for this. Some cute little like treat bags, lots of fun. Also, there are 2 ornaments that you can put together. And there is a glitter pin. So that's really cool as well. So let's just dive in and get started. I'm not going to use the stamp so much today, although I do have some images that are stamped and ready to go. But I will use some. I'm going to just be using my scissors and paper piecing. So I went ahead and die cut out the images that I thought that I would need to paper piece together. And I'm just going to cut and piece. And we're going to kind of make it a little bit interactive so that you can open up the door and have the sentiment. So you can either use it on a card base, or you can use it as alone without a card base. So I'm going to be using my art glitter glue adhesive, which is really nice for a project like this. And then for my topiary things and things I want to kind of pop off the page, I'm going to be using my very favorite 3D foam squares by Scrapbook Adhesive. I do have a whole bunch of links provided down below in the description box for your convenience to shop if you would like any of this. You can find them all down below. The Hero Arts Kit for December came out today, but I hadn't gotten really to play with November's yet, so I'm going to be working through this. And if you have it, I hope you find this to give you some inspiration and some ideas. And if you don't, then you can go over, if you're interested, and just use my link and grab one for yourself. All right, and so from here, I'm going to start off with this. So this is going to be the front of my house, and the colors that I'm using are just some cardstock from my stash. I like cut cardstock as my resource. They're very, very quick to get what you need, and they also have cheap shipping, like really inexpensive shipping, and a great selection. It's my very favorite place to go. So go check them out. This is out of my stash. You can find this same type colors over there. I'm going to be using archival ink to do this next step, just because I don't want this to smear around. And you can't really tell right now that there are bricks or anything in this. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring that to life by smearing this on top of the whole thing. And what this will do is it will allow the bricks to shine through. It's not very pretty right now, I know, but we will make it work. My whole point right now is just to give it some definition so it looks more like the front of a house. So you can always do this with your ink, or you can even dry brush it with a relatively dry brush and paint. Okay, so that's the front of my house. I think I'm good with that. This cardstock is a little bit slick, so I do want to go ahead and just take a heat set to it so it doesn't move around. Once it dries, it will be waterproof and permanent. All right, so let me set this aside real quick, and then I'm just gonna pick up whatever I can. I might not be able to pick up any ink with this at this point because I did heat set it, but that's okay. That's what a craft mat's for, right? All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of do that to these as well. I just want to get some definition because I'm gonna paper piece these together, and this will make more sense as I go along. So I'm gonna be using peeled paint on this. And again, I'm just popping on, you know, a little bit of color. And if you don't want to get your fingers dirty, you can use something to hold it down. I personally don't care. All right, so that just kind of helps bring it to life. So I'll set that up over there to start to dry. And the next thing I want to do is I want to, this one I don't need to do that with, because I'm going to use the base. This is like a beautiful silvery gray. So I want to use the pot on that. So I'm just going to let that be. And then this one, I do want to get that bow. I'm going to actually cut that bow out and piece it onto this bow right here. And I'm going to use faded denim for this. And this is more of a slick type surface, so it's going to need a minute definitely to set up. The slicker the surface, the longer it needs to set up. These little envelopes I think are so cute. I totally want to use them, and I just die cut them out. And for these, oh, I'm going to do vintage photo on these and hopefully just make that pop a little bit, but it already pretty much does look black with how it die cut it out. So I'm just actually going to go around the edges. I changed my mind. Just going to go around the edges just to make them kind of pop, but I'm going to put these on the envelope in my door. So we're just doing this. And then once I get this all inked up, I'm going to go ahead and move on to assembling my card. And if these are dry, I can start my paper piecing. So I'm going to take just my scissors, and I'm going to do pop dots to create these pieces. Pretty much pop dots are only going to be on this. Now if you want to really layer this up, you want to use the thin. These are the thicker ones, and then you have these, which are the thin ones. The beauty of the thin ones is it still gives it that dimension, plus you're still able to put it through the mail, which is super important. And I don't know if you can tell the depth difference there, but I actually have changed my mind. I'm going to use the thin ones on this because I do want to put it through the mail, and I also want to add several layers to this. And again, this is by Scrapbook Adhesive. I really, really like these. So I'm just going to take and just trim off the pieces like so. And I'm just going to layer it onto my topiary. And so I'm just going to do one dot here and get this little guy ready to go. And then just layer it on like so. Make sure I line it up. I don't have a sample ready for you guys, so yeah, this is all, I haven't even done a sample. This has just been rolling around in my head, and I thought, this would be a great idea. And one of the fun things when you don't have a sample is what? Is watching them possibly screw up. Because come on, we all want to see that. I don't know if it's so much that people want to watch you screw up, as much as they just want to see you work through, and it really helps show if a product is true to what it says, you know, because if the crafter can't figure it out without editing the heck out of the video, then do you really think it's something that you can do, you know? So sometimes messing up is really a good thing. And so like this one, I'm having a hard time getting over it because I'm trying not to mess up on the screen here. Okay, I don't want to get my big head in the screen, but so you just line it up and boom. Now we have some cute, there we go. So there's one done. And we will set this off to the side for now, and we'll do the other one. And then I'm going to pop the bow on the little, over here. I'm going to use that bow on that. So here we go with this. Again, I'm just going to cut this off screen over my trash can. Hope y'all don't mind. Okay. And then again, we're just paper piecing it. So if I'm not catching your comments, I'm really sorry. I cannot look up on my screen and see them and do this. My screen's higher today. I think my son was sitting in my chair and lowered it. And so I haven't fixed it yet. I kind of just realized, I'm like, I'm sitting kind of low in the saddle over here. What is this about? Well, I think he lowered it. So I can't see my screen. That's okay. But I'm going to be coming on live every day this week at 4, and we're just going to be working with this kit and whatever else I find that I think would be fun. I'm going to show you guys my table setting for Christmas Eve to show you kind of how you can set your table, give you some ideas for fun things that you can put at each place setting to just really make it special. So I'll be showing you that probably later this week because I bought a new table and it won't be delivered until tomorrow. All right, so for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and follow the lines of this bow. And I'm just going to trim this bow out. I do like these Hero Arts dies because they do make it super easy that if you decide that you don't want to necessarily just emboss and you want to trim it out, you totally can. It's really simple. Even if you're a sloppy cutter like me, you can do it relatively easy. So I'm just kind of cleaning this up a little bit. All right. And then all right. Now for this, I'm not going to use a pop dot on this. I'm just going to glue it on because that's such a small surface that it would be really challenging. I really like this art glitter glue. It dries relatively quickly, but it also gives you enough time for some wiggle room. So if you don't like your placement, you do have time to move it around. And if some of it seeps out, it's totally okay because it dries clear. And it doesn't take much. So I always tell people, get the fine tip applicator. The glue itself is relatively pricey. It's $9.95, which I think is kind of high. But if you get this fine tip applicator, you'll get better, a better adhesion. If it's people have problems with this when they use too much. So for this one, this particular line, less is more for sure. So there's this. And then I can also take, and just in the center of it, I can take one of these little gems. This just dawned on me. And I can pop this into the center. Like so. And then just going to pick that up. Pop that right there. And those are by Queen & Co. All right, set that aside to dry. Now our little pieces are ready for the front of our card and we can start to move on. So what I have done for this card is I have taken, and I'm messing with my envelopes. I've taken and just embossed several pieces. I know this is my front. I want to use this up here, again, the bows, I thought that would be cute on this. You could also go through and use some greenery up here if you wanted to, but I thought it would be cute to paper piece that together and use some green and then the blue bow. And then I also have a black that I did because I want to use this piece right here. I want to paper piece that together. And then I want the door to be this color. And then here's the green for the leaves. And then I want the back of it to be black. But when you open the door, I want to make it so that you can open the door, and I want there to be a sentiment in white. So I have some white paper already cut and ready, and I'm going to have to trim that down, obviously, and I'll put my sentiment there. So let me get started on my sentiment. Get my paper cutter and trim this down. Hopefully. Okay, and I just have to trim a little bit of that edge off. Yeah, I think I like the bigger piece better. It's safer. Okay, so I'm going to take and just trim a little bit of this off, and I'm going to line it up and get this on right now on the edges, and then I will stamp my sentiment on it. So I'm going to just take my art glitter glue again. I'm just going to go around the edges. Like so. I am not the neatest gluer ever, as you can tell. Open up my door so I can see where this is going to lay. Okay, good. Perfect. And then I'm going to take my foam sheet because I want to stamp my sentiment on it. So when this arrives at its home, they can open the door and they'll be able to see the sentiment peeking out at them. The sentiment I'm going to use is something like "There's no place like home for the holidays." And then I think the color that I'm going to use is going to be red, just to kind of make it pop a little bit. So I'm going to use the same Distress Archival inks. You can get these archival inks in mini sizes or in the large size. I like the mini size simply because the real estate in my craft room is pricey, meaning I have too much stuff. And so by using the minis, they're easy to store for me. Plus, I think the whole set is under $30 for minis, whereas if you were to try to buy all of them, you would spend a small fortune. So that's why I like it. All right, so from here, just gonna go ahead and pop this here. Make sure that I leave enough room for our name. And you want to do this on a foam sheet because this is a cling mount stamp. There is no cushioning on it. So this provides that nice cushioning that you need to get a really good image. All right, so that is ready to go. And from here, we are going to go ahead and start to just assemble this card. So I'm going to do it on this card base because I want the background to be like in a black. So I'm going to just line this up and we're going to work on it from here. And again, going back to my art glitter glue, doesn't really matter that this is super messy because, or it's not even, because we're totally covering it up right now. And then, and this is why I like the glue, because I can slide it around and get that perfect placement. So from here, I want to go ahead and add my blue little door. And I'm going to take and just trim this out right along those lines that have already been provided for me. So I'm just going to take and just trim this out like so. And I'm just going to line it up on my door. But do that, I want to, see how cute that is with the blue door? I want to take and put, I can do this after actually, my envelopes. I just want to stuff those up under there so it looks like there's an envelope. And let's put a brad right there so it will look like that's a doorknob. So I have this, my handy dandy brad set. And I'm thinking that I probably want to do more of a metallic-y type brad for the door. So let's go ahead and use like this copper, this like tarnished metal, tarnished brass, bronze, I should say. Use my crocodile on this, and I'm just going to make sure I kind of get it in the center there. So there we go, perfect. So we're going to put this down first. And I'm going to want to make sure that I get that brad out like so. And now it looks like a cute little door. All right, I'm going to go around on this one. I'm going to do the edges again, simply because I want to make sure I leave the space so I can put my envelopes in, like there's mail coming out of the front of the door. So I can do, you know, a little bit of glue elsewhere, but I want to make sure that I can slip my envelopes in. There we go. So my door's ready, and now I'm just going to take my envelopes and I'm going to slip them in. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the end of it and slip this one and then I want to make sure that for this one that's poking out, so I'm going to slip this in like so. Okay, so now we have some mail in there. That's really cute. Loving it so far. And I want to go ahead and start to bring this even more to life, because as you can tell, you can see the brick fairly well, but the mat you can't see, and you can't see like the light over here, and this up here is kind of gone. So I want to bring that together. And how I'm going to do that is I was thinking that I could put some of this greenery, but I might be better served to actually use a colored pencil or a paint over pen on those little marks, just to bring that to life and put my bow. So I'm going to hold off on that for a moment, and I'm going to just take and snip this bow out of this blue from this other piece. And we will put that right on top of that bow right there. All right. And sometimes you luck out and it kind of just works with you, and it just, you don't have to cut much. It just kind of pulls apart really nice. Like that. Sweet. Okay. There we go. Just cleaning up this bow. Okay. So from here, I'm going to pop a little bit of glue right there. Got my bow. And pop it down. Over like that. And then again, I want to do a little bit of something right there in the middle. So I'm going to pull out these, and only reason I'm using these literally is because they're on my desk. I have a lot of bling that would work, but these are fun. So there we go. We'll put that right there in the middle. Let that just kind of set up for a second. Actually, it needs to go that way. I'm not real worried that I got glue everywhere on that, because like I said, it does dry clear. So it'll be fine. And then let's go ahead and add some more detail to this. And next up, I think I want to put my little lights. So for this, I'm going to just take this out. So I'd have the black, so I'm going to paper piece this on out, like so. And I'm going to add that right there. So once again, sorry, I have a kid downstairs. Don't know if you guys can hear that. Sounds like a mug drop off. All right, so I'm going to do this right here. this right here. And I'm going to just pop that on. And again, you know, you can move it around. I do have a little picker that I could totally do this with, but that's right. Okay. And then I want to do something with the mat down here. And so I'm thinking that I would like the mat to be kind of like blue, maybe. I'll do that. So I'm going to cut out this mat here. Actually, maybe what I can do, maybe I don't have to cut it out. Maybe I can just line it up like so. I think I'll do that. I won't cut it out. I'm not going to paper piece the mat. I'm going to just stamp it and see what we get. If I hate it, then I can paper piece over it. So let me go ahead and just do that. So I have my stamped right there, and I keep them on my block until I'm totally done using the stamp set. And the reason is because I won't lose my stamps and they're just ready to go. Since they are clear, I can see through the block and I don't need to have one stamp per block. Okay, so I'm doing this distress archival again. And I'm in black. There we go. And that adds just enough so you can see where the mat is. And I'm going to just do welcome, I think, in black as well. And the welcome fits just right in there perfectly. So there we go. So now we have the welcome mat done, which is perfect. And then from here, I want to take and add just a little bit of color on my leaves. And I'm going to do that with just some dark green. These are just style file markers from my stash. So I'm not trying to be real perfect with it. I can go back over with a black journaling pen and add in the lines, but I've discovered that getting color down first is a whole lot easier. Okay, so that just kind of gives a hint of the leaves. You just have to follow the lines. It doesn't have to be like really perfect. Okay, so, and then let me go ahead and take my black pen. See if this will work. And just go ahead and just kind of outline. I'm just following the lines inside, like the embossed lines. I'm just following it loosely with my pen. That's all I'm doing. You could also, there's so many ways that you could just use this. Like, use your distressing, blending tools, whatever, and color it all in. You know, really add a lot of detail to it. That would be super cool too. All right, so there's some definition right there. This little guy right here, I kind of messed up on. I didn't get it colored in, so we'll color that in. All right, now from here, we're gonna finish it off by paper piecing the rest of it together. So I want to add my wreath. So I want to put the wreath right about there. And for the wreath, I am going to go ahead and use pop dots just to finish this all off. So you could just use one, but I'm going to use two. Put this on the door, and then I'll add my plants. So it's a super understated Christmas card, I think. I don't think it's screaming Merry Christmas. It's not in your traditional colors. It's more of a muted tones, I think. There we go. Okay. So I am all thumbs today. Put that on over the peephole. Or actually, you know, I'm going to put it on the peephole. There we go. Use it as a way to kind of line everything up. And then let's go ahead and just put these off to either side. Okay. So I'll put this down here, off on either side of the door. And if you guys notice, that's not like perfect. So you can kind of mask it a little bit. All right, and then this one. Like so. I like the dimension on this. I think it's cute. And now that I'm looking at it, I really am wanting to use it more as a card front instead of as a card itself. I mean, you could just open that up and boom, there you go, and be done with it. But I do think that this will look really cute on a card front. So I'm going to take and just do that. I'm going to put it on a card front and just make a card out of it. So I'm going to take a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and you just have to cut it down the middle, and then you will take and score it, and it will give you the perfect it'll give you a 4.25 by 5.5, which fits into any standardized envelope. And you will get 2 card bases from one sheet of paper, so you have absolutely no waste. And who doesn't like not having waste? It always hurts my heart when I have to go and like throw away a card, like a piece of cardstock. I mean, I don't know why, but it does. I don't like throwing away paper. So by using the 8.5 by 11 pieces, you don't have to do that. So I'm going to put my watermark on the back of this like so. And again, I'm still using the archival ink. And then for this one, I'm going to adhere it, but before I do so, I do kind of want to ink the edges on that to make them pop just a little bit. I am going to use some black on it, and then I am going to add a little bit of that liquid glitter glue that came in the kit. I have not ever used that liquid glue before. I'm assuming it's Hero Art's version of Stickles, but I want to see how it works. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue. a little bit of the art glitter glue in some spots. Okay, so that just kind of makes it pop a little bit. And then again, in the sentiment on the inside of this, you know, you might want to put Merry Christmas or something, but it's up to you. I'm probably going to add that later. As to respect your time. All right, so let's go ahead and pop this down. Then I'll put some of that art glitter glue down on it. And there we go. So the die cut that came with this set, okay, this piece right here is actually an embossing folder. It's more like an embossing. And then there's a piece that made the perfect square. Now I know that this is the exact size for an A2 card front. That is exactly the size. So this square, it came in the kit. Let me show you. So if you just want to emboss a piece of paper, you would just emboss it with this, and then it wouldn't cut out. It would just, if you want to